people are very unhappy about what we're doing, what we're saying, the information. There is an effort to hurt a huge number of people. And as I say unashamedly, most people are dumb as hell. They don't know what's going on. They don't think that they have to. And it is understood by the people that would bring great suffering to the masses of people that they have to silence, they have to shadow ban, they have to jail, they have to marginalize the few people who have at least a clue of what's going on by not letting us talk to, by not letting us share. And they know something about shallow people. Shallow people need everything to be in HD, perfect sound, perfect lighting, perfect makeup, perfect messengers, suits, sets. But in reality, they own the media. The people that you look at with the makeup, with the suits, with the backdrops and the technicians, they're there to lie to you to set you up. Now, if you want to see me, if you're obsessed with seeing a 55-year-old black man, you can go to At Night. I have nightmares on Facebook. At night, I have nightmares on Facebook. And you can see what they're not letting you see on the other stream channel. I want to thank everybody that donates. This is why I need to buy yet another computer and get some other things, buy more. I mean, you end up having to buy more virus stuff in order to talk to you. So when y'all help me, help others, it gets used. I'm very happy that I was able to at least give my first effort at compensating my technical support team, Media Engagement Solutions. I thank them. And I'm hoping that people continue to make it rain. So, and believe it or not, somebody, at least someone black other than me, got something off of what came in, aside from other things that we do. So, I hope all y'all had a good day. It was capitalist, conspicuous consumption day. Anybody that knows their Bible knows that Jesus was born on Passover. That's closer to April, not December. This is some white people stuff. And of course, who threw all their money away to people who hate our guts? We did. Now, again, for the people who don't listen, because a lot of people don't listen. I wonder why they will. Anyway, if you want to see average me that you see all the time, you can go to At Night I Have Nightmares on Facebook, and you'll be able to see me and my blue and white African thing that's really old. Okay, I'll type it up for people who don't pay attention. God, if I were a white supremacist, I would be so important. Our people are special, man. At night, I have nightmares. And on Facebook, it's right there. Welcome, all of you. I don't see anybody making comments, but I hope you're there. I want to be talking about eugenics. 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 Yes, you tell me there's no video. I can see that. And there wasn't video yesterday night too. And it says my video's on. No, tonight, but it makes no difference. At night, I have nightmares on Facebook. And if there's no video, someone didn't want you to have it. But it's interesting. On another channel that's not linked to my name as they're used to looking for it, it's streaming perfectly, just not on the one associated. It's called shadow banning. It's called not letting people communicate. The complaints really should be going to StreamYard and YouTube and Facebook. Why is it that y'all won't let us talk to people that or listen to people we like talking to, Who told you to take away our freedom of speech and our freedom of assembly? And many of you hate Donald Trump, but one of the things that he's fighting to do that you didn't hear in the media is that he's trying to strip national defense authorization protections up from Twitter, Facebook, and Google, where these people can get sued for the things that they do to people. Inasmuch as I pay for this service, I pay for it, and you take it from me because you're mad at me. That's like you not liking me and me buying a steak from you and you not give me the steak. That's robbery. So not only are they not showing the camera, they're stealing from me because they don't deduct off when they don't deliver what I paid for. Unlike other people, I pay for the subscription. And pretty soon I'll be paying for YouTube as well. And when you pay for it, you don't get it. Or they decide when you can get it. It's an injustice. So if you don't have it, I paid for you to get it. And I pay every month. And actually, they'd like for me to pay more. So anyway, with this camera off, I have a major challenge because I wanted to show you, but I did have books. I have books and all that I can do some reading on. And of course, I know I'm going to ask people. I joke a hell of a lot. I love joking, clowning. I love it. There's never enough joking and clowning for me. But when I'm telling you something that's very intelligent, that's on point, and it's informational, you should get out a pencil or a pen and take notes. You might hear it from someone else. I hope other people are talking about this stuff because they need to. I'm looking at my books. I've got so many, and I need to get some more. In fact, I'm really pissed. I went looking for a book that used to be so cheap, but now that people are talking about how it outlines how black people need to be killed off carefully in America, that the U.S. government and everybody endorsed, you can't buy the book for less than $40, $50, even used. And I can't find my copy. I know I got it. I know I have a copy. And that's okay. I'm going to make this work out one way or the other. I'm going to say to you guys, again, at night, I have nightmares. If you're looking for it, and I put it up here, let me see if I can put it up on the damn screen. Because people don't read the chat. God. Okay, I'm going to put that up on the screen. Look for me on Facebook at Night I Have Nightmares. That's on the screen. Of course, nobody told you. If you cannot see me and you want to see me, you'll see me there. I'm going to grab one other book. Oh, it's here. I don't have to leave. Good. I was wondering. I just knew I brought it in here. And I've got to figure out, because I can do it with At Night I Have Nightmares Hot Dog. I'll be able to do the video on At Night I Have Nightmares. How about that? This is incredible. So thanks to Media Engagement Solutions, because if, we black people have to work together. If I didn't have Media Engagement Solutions, we would truly be in the dark. And, Africa didn't have a dark age, and white people never left it. Yeah, I said that. That's my racial put down for today. And why is Kwanzaa after Christmas? Kwanzaa should have been on the 24th, so black people would spend their money with each other. But you know how that is. You know how that is. You know how that is. No, hold on. Let me see something. I'm going to try to get back to where I was, and I'm going to pull up something. Come on, pad. I got the tablet. Thank God for my supporter that got me this tablet, and I need to use it more. Come on, tablet. Work with me, baby. Okay, there it is. I'm going to enter my tablet, and I'm going to go back to where I was. Okay. I want y'all to see something. Some of you have seen the video before, but let me see if I can hook this up, because this is going to be really, really, really awesome. Let's see if that happens. Now I need to arch it down. Hot dogs. And if I bring it, let me just see. Okay, I need to bring it down some more. And I need to bring it up some. And I think I'll have it. I'm going to be using this alternative screens. Forgive me. We have to compensate. Is this going to work for me? Is it? Now let me ask the technical person. Can you see the screen, brother? Yes. Is it clear enough? Yes, but it's buffering though. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to put you on noise so I can hear you. Okay, give me some instructions because I'm behind it. And when I get an iPhone, this won't be the problem anymore. All right. Tell me, is it any better? Yes, it seems fine, but it's not moving right now. No, I'm not moving it. I'm trying to make certain that we get. There's a gap, though. There's about a 4-inch gap between the top of the screen and whatever's in the back. I tell you what we'll do. Elevate the phone. Yeah, the whole device. Okay, I'll bring it up. Is that better or worse? We still have, so you need to just raise it up towards the ceiling. There's a gap between the top of the device. I see. I need to bring this thing up right here. As though it's levitating. So it needs to increase the height needs to increase. Okay. I'll do it one more time. The inches went down, right? I need to bring it up more. Okay, you need to pick it up as though there's no gravity. Let me do something else. Do something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to move it back. I'm going to do this here. That helps. Hold it. I'm going to do something else with this camera. I need to get the screen. See, I'm doing this off the phone. I'm used to doing it on the computer. And this is annoying because I have to try to figure out in this commands of it. Home screen, add to books, open in Samsung. It doesn't give the same options. Settings. Nope, it doesn't do that. Layout. Nope. I don't have the same option here. Let me go back to where I was. Where is it? I hope I didn't lose it. I'm going to go back in. 1 second. Okay. I apologize to all you guys waiting. I didn't know that they would just jack this thing up for me. Okay, I'm live. Why are you telling me I want to go in? Okay, it's telling me I'm live in a broadcast studio. Here we go. I apologize. Hey, everybody. Sorry about this foolishness here. Okay, let me see. Can I turn my camera around? I can't even turn the camera around in here, which is a problem. It only allows me to point the camera. The controls are very small. Nope, I don't want to do that. Nope. It doesn't give me the comments, brand. Nope, it doesn't give me that option. Doesn't give me the options I want. I apologize. So let me see. And I'm gonna do something else in a second. If I don't get this in 1 second, we're gonna do something else. And I'll say, okay, these bastards sure won today. Haven't won. It's giving me a little bit of pushback. Okay, everybody. You know what I need for Christmas? I need a real studio. Well, because this is, well, I don't even believe in Christmas. Okay, they've got me paused on this one here. Bear with me. I'm trying to figure out. Maybe I could do it myself, but it's a long time to have to hold the doggone thing. It does. So if I did that, it doesn't let you turn it. It doesn't move with you. I can't rotate the screen. This is not an iPhone. This thing is limited with what you can do with it. We're gonna get a new I'm gonna get another video camera. I can't wait. Sorry, I'm up here whining, but I can't figure out that thing. Let me see something. Hold 1 second. I want to play with something. Airplane mode, portrait. Oh, I see. Okay, I got it. I got an auto rotate. So let's go back, and I should be able to have. I will auto rotate will let me play with this. That was kicking me in the behind. Okay, there you go. That's what I needed to do. Okay. Wait 1 second. Okay. As it auto rotates, bear with me, fan base. We're gonna get this thing here together in just 1 second. All right. Wow. We're gonna let technology turn us around. Try this. Okay. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna just roll with it. All right, we're back. We're back on track. Now, brother, engagement. Tell me something. I may need to pull this down some. And I need to bring it down 1 second. Are you seeing it, or does it need to come down some? We're gonna do something. We're gonna do something in a second. Trying to figure out which way they.
You want to slide to the left.
To the left?
To the left. All right, no. There you go, right there. Perfect. Probably good as it.
Okay. Should I hit it? Or do I need to bring it up some?
Need to bring it up.
Too far up?
No, you try to align the camera lens to the center of the screen.
It's very hard because I'm behind it not seeing it. Wow.
You gotta go down. The camera needs to go down and the screen needs to go up.
I tell you what, we're going to switch screens. I'm going to put one to come down and one to go up. One is too high and one is too low. 1 second. Wow. All of this to get around what these devils are doing. Man, okay, where is it? Okay. Okay. Need to come up or is it good? I'm frustrated. God, I'm frustrated. I'm done with this. I'm going to just do something else. This is a bit much for me trying. This is why I need a digital camera. I can just do it. This, I have no maneuverability with this. But another thing, I could have just pointed. Or if I were doing it off of the pad, I could do it to the phone, but I can't do it with the phone. Let me leave that alone. Let's go back. And pardon me, folks, I don't like technical problems. I hate them. Okay. And it's saying there's a technical problem. Okay, we're back. All right. Well, we're not going to do any videos for right now, but I want to try one thing, everybody. I want to reboot something because we had this thing even went to, you don't see it, but it actually went to to YouTube without me pointing it there, which I'm thinking, how could you do that? Anyway, let me just do something real fast. I've had this before happen. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Pardon me, my dear patient friends. This is not supposed to go like this. And we worked very hard to put this together today. Have the promos, everything. And this thing does this. Hold on 1 second. And for all of you, and at night I have nightmares. Hang on 1 second. I can still talk to you. I need to like deal with this thing here, this beast. This is the second broadcast. The last time the sound wouldn't work for the other person. We're having all this good conversation. All of a sudden, the sound just went ratchet. Let me pull this. It wants to work. Okay, y'all. Look at this. How y'all doing? We're finally back. I don't know what the hell is going on. I just know that I love telling the truth. And I love telling the truth in a raw and irreverent way. And it really rankles the shit out of people. And that just makes me want to do it more. If they left me alone, I'd probably, if you didn't shadow ban me, if they weren't bothering me on Facebook, I wouldn't be on YouTube. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you, 13 people. It was 40. I so apologize. This has nothing to do with anything I'm doing. In fact, I was talking to my dear technical support person, and they took off my call when I reached out to one of my associates. Okay, we're here. And again, I'm going to put this up here. If you're trying to find it, I had it up as a banner. If you ever have a situation seeing, we're going to work out this. I'm going to get a video camera. I can't wait. By the way, just so you'll know, harassment is real. I was sent money like 3-4 days ago by wire. Someone took money into a bank and wired it. A wire takes 1 minute. If you're not someone like me, that money, they don't know where it is. That's okay. When it comes, I'm buying me a damn digital video camera, one that I can set and adjust versus trying to do it with phones. I'm doing the phones because it all came to a point where on Facebook, every time I have a book I call it Luciferian Feminism, I put that on Facebook, and they said it was pornographic and put me off for 30 days for putting a book cover on Facebook. We're talking about people talking about killing people and filming themselves driving over black people with cars, being able to post on Facebook, and it doesn't violate community standards. I put a dust jacket. And so this is one of the reasons I'm doing this in other modes. And forgive me, if you follow what I'm doing, it's going to be difficult. And I'm just starting. This is month number 2. I have been doing radio and television at various points back into, frankly, honestly, the 1970s. Not a whole lot, but sometimes. And I've done it a lot more since this is the end of a decade. I started doing this in 2010. So it's 2010, and then 2011. And it's been doing it ever since. So I'm going into basically 10th anniversary of doing it. And I had done it all over the world, England, Europe, just not much in the United States. So bear with me. In fact, you don't have to bear any more. I want to thank everybody again. Who you gonna call? Coon Buster. When it's a black screen, and people need to see that black screen, they need to see you in HD. That may not always happen. I want to tell you, I got a text message from Roger Stone. There are a lot of people that think we're going to have a civil war in this country. I'm talking about a shoot 'em up, kill 'em up, stab 'em up civil war. And so this internet, this cell phones, the things that you take for granted that you're using every single solitary day as something that just ought to be and should be, it's not guaranteed. So when you see this thing black, when I know my bill is paid, when we're paying a premium for high-speed internet, and And by the way, the neighborhood I live in is being gentrified. It's increasingly white and people with high income. It can't be that they're moving it to a more affluent area, because this is becoming a more affluent area with condos going up all over the place. It's deliberate, okay? So I don't want to talk about that no more. I'm sick of that. MFM, everybody. MFM. I want to talk about eugenics. I want to talk about eugenics. Eugenics. And I'm going to try something that I've never done before and hope that it works. And maybe I can show something. Maybe I can. I don't know, but I'm going to try. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to try something. Try something. Okay, that didn't work. And let me see if I can try it from here. I want y'all to see if I can try to do it from my tablet. I keep trying this, man. I can't wait to have my video, man. I can't wait until I have my mixer. I can't wait. This is miserable. Well, you can't welfare everything. Let me see. I'm gonna go back. Let's see if y'all can get this. Hot damn. Okay, let me see. This is the bitch that started it all. I'm trying something. See if I can get around it. I think I can. And I need to get this glare off of it.
uncensored interview on the issue of birth control.
Archaic law, which it was.
Sounds not strong enough on this one.
And,
Hold 1 second.
no one had tried to change laws. And at that time, not even a doctor had a right to use the United States males as common carriers for anything that he had to do with this question. It was considered obscene. The whole question was considered obscene.
Mrs. Sanger, you have helped to spread birth control not only here.
Sounds too weak. 1 second.
And now,
Okay. Got a better one with better sound. One second.
and now to our story. When Mrs. Margaret Sanger opened the first birth control clinic in the United States back in 1916, birth control was a dirty word. The police threw her into jail as they were to do 7 more times during her crusade, a crusade that still faces the reasoning but unalterable opposition of the Roman Catholic Church. That crusade kept Mrs. Sanger away from her children for long periods. It helped to break up her first marriage, and she suffered constant, harrowing social abuse. Mrs. Sanger, in view of all of that, let me ask you this first of all. Why did you do it? I realize that you had an intellectual conviction that birth control was a boon to mankind, but I'm sure that others have that conviction too. And so what I'd like to know is this. What events, what emotions in your life made Margaret Sanger a crusader for birth control?
Well, Mr. Wallace, it's hard to say that any one thing has made one do this or that. I think from the very beginning, I came with a large family. My mother died young, 11 children. It made an impression on me as a child. I was a trained nurse, went among the people. I saw women who asked to have some means whereby they wouldn't have to have another pregnancy too early after the last child, the last abortion, which many of them had. So there's a number of things that are one after the other that really made you feel that you had to do something.
There are some other possible reasons that suggest themselves on reading your biography by Lawrence later. Your mother, as you say, died prematurely after bearing 11 children. She was born a Catholic, was she not?
She was born a Catholic, yes.
And your father was a sort of a village atheist who clashed with church authorities. And because of his atheism, his earnings dwindled under community pressure. You and your brothers and sisters were known as, quote, children of the devil, end quote. Could it be then that in part at least, you were driven emotionally toward the birth control movement because of antagonism toward the church, because that was a way to fight the church?
No, I don't think I had anything of the kind in mind. I was what I would call a born humanitarian. I don't like to see people suffer. I don't like to see cruelty, even to this day. And in nursing, you see a great deal of cruelty and unnecessary suffering. At that time, there was no opposition as far as the church was concerned. Any church. It was mainly the law, the federal law and state laws that one had to think of. The church was not in my mind at all.
Well, in going after your motive then, and I will press you just a little bit more about that and then get to the specifics of this evening. But in your motive, in the movement, is it possible that the movement itself, the feeling of wanting to do anything that you felt was important, that perhaps that moved you a good deal? Because the fact remains that you led a movement against overwhelming pressures that stemmed back for centuries, and in doing so, according to your autobiography, you even left your first husband. And you wrote this to a friend, Mrs. Sanger. You said, where is the man to give me what the movement gives in joy and interest and freedom. Now, what was this joy, this freedom that you craved?
Well, I don't remember that letter, how it was written, but I think that it was not a question of marriage at all. There was a certain satisfaction in doing something that was going to alleviate the sufferings of women in particular, and I was quite a feminist at the time.
Obviously.
And yes, and I naturally didn't want to see women take all the suffering of childbearing and of pregnancies. So it was a pleasure in a sense. I think that you were striking at an archaic law, which it was, put it on the statute books by Anthony Comstock some years ago, and no one had stood up against it. No one had tried to change the laws. And at that time, not even a doctor had a right to use the United States mails and common carriers for books, for learning, for anything that he had to do with this question. It was considered obscene. The whole question was considered obscene.
Mrs. Sanger, you have helped to spread the birth control movement not only here in the United States, but in Europe and the Orient as well. Why? Why is birth control of such vital importance internationally? Is it just to save women suffering? Is that the only reason in your mind?
Well, not entirely. The population question is a great concern today, and the rate at which the births come in to we're saving them now. At one time, the children died. They didn't have the food. Today, our population all over the world is getting certainly better consideration and better conditions than they had at the time that I was there. I went to every country because I was invited. And I didn't go into the country myself. I was invited to go to Japan and to speak there, have 8 lectures on the question of birth control and peace.
Well, do you believe that birth control is essential if we want to keep millions of people across the world from starving? Is that your thesis?
Say it again.
Do you feel that birth control is essential to keep millions of people across the world from starving?
Well, I think the birth control, if you keep the population more or less static until you pick up your resources, certainly you'll prevent their starving.
But what's more important, birth control or picking up the resources?
Well, picking up the resources, there's just a limit to that, too. There's just so much. Take Japan. And she cannot feed. They've had the best experts come there when MacArthur was there. The best experts say that they have 20 million more people than they can feed. She's got to be fed outside in some way. She's got to have that kind of help if she's going to keep them from fighting.
But certainly around the world there is potential agricultural land that is not being properly used now. Just this past year, on May 21st, the New York Times summarized an important study of the world's food resources made by Professor James Bonner of the California Institute of Technology. Professor Bonner says the world is not using 1 billion acres of potential agricultural land, and he adds that if this land were used and present agricultural land were improved, the entire world could be fed adequately, even if the population increased by 1/3 in the next 50 years.
Oh, Mr. Wallace, you hear so many. Oh, Mr. Wallace, you hear so many fantastic things of what can happen, what may happen. This and that, I've heard it for the last 30 years at any rate, what could be done, but it's never done. And the thing is, what is it now? What have we got today? A very distinguished woman spoke to me about Arizona. And she said, I wish you wouldn't talk about population. She said, all the population of the United States could be put in one state. And I said, what state? She said, Arizona. I said, did you ever hear of Caliche? She didn't know that I was talking about delicatessen or what. I said, well, Caliche is harder than any rock. And it is about 3 inches below the ground, where it looks beautiful. It looks as if you could have food. It looks as if you could have corn or wheat or cotton. But as a matter of fact, you have to dynamite Caliche out of the ground in order to have a little shrub and even a little grass or a few flowers. So there are many problems when it comes to that. And the demographers, I never heard of anyone that would agree with that. That we could have another in the world.
Another third.
Well,
you say that originally the opposition was in all law, and you have to fight against that. Today, your opposition stems mainly from where? From what source?
Well, I think that the opposition is mainly from the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church.
Of the church. Well, now of the hierarchy of the church. You feel that the parishioners themselves, the lay people in the church, are not against birth.
They come to all of our clinics just the same as the non-Catholics do. Exactly the same.
Well, let's look at the official Catholic position, opposition to birth control. I read now from a church publication called The Question Box. In forbidding birth control, it says the following. It says, the immediate purpose and primary end of marriage is the begetting of children. When the marital relation is so used as to render the fulfillment of its purposes impossible, that is by birth control, it is used unethically and unnaturally. Now, what's wrong with that position?
Well, it's very wrong. It's not normal. It's not, it has the wrong attitude toward marriage, toward love, toward the relationships between men and women.
Well, the natural law, they say, is that, first of all, the primary function of sex in marriage is to beget children. Don't you disagree with that?
I disagree with it 100%.
Your feeling is what?
My feeling is love and the attraction between men and women. In many cases, the very finest relationship has nothing to do with bearing a child. It's secondary. Many times we know that. You see your birth rate, you talk to people who are very happy marriages, they're not having babies every year. Yes, I think that's a celibate attitude.
Surely. A celibate attitude, but you agree that Catholicism, according to the tenets of Catholicism, they rule that birth control violates not only the church's position, it isn't the church's position, but they say that it violates a natural law, as I have just explained. Therefore, birth control is a sin, no matter who practices it. Now, the violation of the natural law, according you, certainly can take no issue with the natural law as the hierarchy of the Catholic Church regards it.
Well, I certainly do take issue with it. I think it's untrue, and I think it's unnatural.
Well, let me ask
He
you.
bears it out that it's an unnatural attitude to take it. How do they know? I mean, after all, they're celibates. They don't know love. They don't know marriage. They know nothing about bringing up children or any of the marriage problems of life. And yet they speak to people as if they were God.
Let me ask you this question. Suppose a healthy, a well-to-do couple decide for some reason never to have children, use birth control all their lives. Would you say that your methods are being misused, Mrs. Sanger?
If they're intelligent people, and they had some reason for thinking of children as a responsibility, or some disease that they might have that they wouldn't like to pass on to a child, and I think it would be a very unselfish attitude for them to take if there is a disease.
No, I say a healthy, well-to-do couple. A couple that just doesn't want children, and for that reason they use birth control all the way. Do you think that that is a misuse of your method?
I don't think it's a misuse. I think if they're intelligent adults, they must know what they want. They must manage their lives themselves. And certainly there's nothing birth control. Then there is some other things that you might deny yourself.
I've asked you your motives a little while ago at the beginning of the program, your motives in working for birth control as hard as you have for as many years as you have. You reject the principal Catholic argument against birth control as being totally invalid. What do you think is the reason, the motive of the Church in forbidding birth control?
You have to ask a Catholic that. I couldn't say what their motive is.
Well, you couldn't say officially what their motive is, but you certainly must have an opinion about it, Mrs. Sanger.
Well, I don't have much to do with the hierarchy. And I know that the people that come to our organization and want to have the same methods, or whatever it is that one can have to prevent pregnancy, that those women will say to us, we ask their religion very often, and they say, I am a Catholic, I was raised in the Catholic Church. My church is wrong on this. This is the one thing. I will never be anything else, but my church is wrong on this one thing. And that is said over and over and over again. So what the motive is,
Well, you won't hazard a guess.
I don't care to. Thank you.
May I ask you why? Now, I know that in private and actually in public discussions, I think, prior to this time, you have been willing to state your understanding of what the motives of the Church are, and now you would rather remain silent. May I ask you why?
Well, simply because I don't think that the Church has changed in its attitude. Some of the hierarchy have changed their attitude. You can't say the same thing that you might have said a year ago or 2 years ago as to your belief or as to your opinion. And
have you heard it said that the reason that the church is against birth control is because they want more Catholics?
I've read it.
Do you believe it?
Well, if you read their papers, where they point out Boston, that's what has happened in Boston and Massachusetts. They have simply outbred the Protestants, and they're in Boston and Massachusetts. They have control. I've read that in their own papers.
Of course, the church's answer, and I read now from a pamphlet published by the Redemptorist Fathers in Missouri, says as follows. It says that point of view about wanting more Catholics is nonsense. Quote, the Catholic Church does not command Catholic husbands and wives to have even one child. The Church considers it more than normally meritorious for them to have no children if they mutually and perpetually give up the use of the marriage rite for the love of God.
All right. I don't quote what they do. So I think that the question in my mind is that they do and order their own people to do as they wish. But I object to their having the same rules for people who are not the same religion.
Well, they believe, you see, that it is a natural law, not a Catholic law, but a natural law, and therefore a sin not just for Catholics, but a sin for all peoples. And I think that there are other religious groups, the very, very Orthodox Jews feel the same way about birth control. Let's look at another argument against birth control, Mrs. Sanger, published in Red Book magazine in March of 1956. It says birth control is a devastating social force which tends to weaken the moral fiber of the community. Immunity from parenthood encourages promiscuity, particularly when unmarried persons can so easily avail themselves of the devices. Do you doubt that?
I doubt it.
You do?
Certainly.
Then let me read from a news story in the Philadelphia Daily News on June 10, 1942. The story quotes you as urging the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps to give its members, quote, preventive measures against pregnancy, end quote. And you add, quote, abortion and illegitimacy are bound to result if the government doesn't recognize human nature, end quote. In other words, you were not advocating Christian morality, but rather ways for single women to avoid bearing illegitimate children.
Where was this taken from?
Philadelphia Daily News, June 10, 1942, direct quote from Margaret Sanger.
I doubt it. I don't believe I ever made such a remark.
Well, in the same vein, in your autobiography, which you cannot disavow, you wrote the following about sexologist Havelock Ellis. You said he's been able to clarify the question of sex and free it from the smudginess connected with it from the beginning of Christianity. Now, what do you mean by the smudginess connected with sex, and why do you blame it on Christianity?
Well, there's many reasons, of course, to say we have more records of it go on Christianity. And I think I was speaking of Havelock Ellis as having clarified the question of homosexuals, making the thing not exactly a perverted thing, but a thing that a person is born with, different kinds of eyes, different kinds of structure, and so forth. But he didn't make all homosexuals perverts. And I felt that he helped clarify that. To the medical profession and to the scientists of the world, as perhaps one of the first ones to do that. That was one of the things that I meant in that.
Ms. Sanger, do you disagree that Catholics, or do you feel that Catholics should not have a right to have a say when a city administration contemplates spending their tax dollars on birth control or the dissemination of birth control information, something that Catholics believe is sinful?
They have a right to say what they...
Do you feel that they don't have a right to have a say when a city administration contemplates spending their tax dollars on birth control? For instance, here in New York, Catholics comprise about 45% of our population. They're the largest single group. Well, don't you think they should have the democratic right to lobby against having their money spent, their tax money spent for something that they consider evil?
I suppose they have a right. They certainly do it. But so have the others. They're only 45% of the population. That is not the majority.
But they have a right to get up and...
Certainly. I'd have no objection to having them say that, but I think we should have the same right. I say we, I mean non-Catholics.
Well, of course, this is a little bit at variance with something that you told our reporter earlier this week. You said earlier this week, it's not only wrong, it should be made illegal for any religious group to prohibit dissemination of birth control, even among its own members. In other words, you would like to see the government legislate religious beliefs in a certain sense.
Where these strange things come to that I said them, that's what I should like to know when.
Well, now, you know that my reporter spent a good deal of time with you. He's a very accurate young man.
Yes.
And this is a specific quote.
Well, I don't think I'm quite that way.
What are your religious beliefs, Mrs. Sanger? Do you believe in a God in the sense of a divine being who rewards or punishes people after death?
Well, I have a different attitude about the divine. I feel that we have divinity within us. And the more we express the good part of our lives, the more the divine within us expresses itself. I suppose I would call myself an Episcopalian by religion. And there's many other who travel around the world. We get quite a bit of the feeling of all religions have so much alike in the divine part of our own being. And I suppose you just couldn't put that in a book, you couldn't put it into a phrase or a sentence.
Do you believe in sin? When I say believe, I don't mean to believe in committing sin. Do you believe there is such a thing as sin?
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That, to me, is the greatest sin that people can commit.
But sin in the ordinary sense that we regard it, do you believe or do you not?
Well, what would they be?
Do you believe that infidelity is a sin?
Well, I'm not going to specify what I think is sin. I've stated what I think is the worst sin.
Yes, but then you asked me to say what, and I said what, and you refused to answer me?
Yes, I don't know about infidelity. It has so many personalities to it. And what a person's own belief is, I couldn't generalize any of those things as being sin.
Murderers.
Well, that's naturally a murder is whether it's a sin or not. It's a terrible act.
In just a moment, Mrs. Sanger, I'd like to ask you about another social problem here in the United States, divorce. Nearly 400,000 couples get divorced in this country each year. And I'd like to get your views on the cause and possible prevention of this problem. And we'll get Mrs. Sanger's answer to that question in just 60 seconds.
One look at this cabin cruiser, and you know it's new. One puff of this cigarette, and you know it's new. It's Philip Morris, and you know by the taste. Philip Morris tastes natural, and that's why smokers like it. And they like the man's kind of mildness in Philip Morris. No filter, no fooling. Nothing artificial between you and the tobacco itself. And the box, here's something else smokers like. It's practical, crush-proof. If you haven't smoked a Philip Morris lately, get with it. You'll find a natural taste, a man's kind of mildness, a crush-proof box. Get with Philip Morris, probably the best natural smoke you ever tasted.
Get with Philip Morris in regular pack or crush-proof box, probably the best natural smoke you ever tasted. Now then, Mrs. Sanger, there are nearly 400,000 divorces or annulments in America each year. What, and this is hard to do in the short time, of course, that we have, what would you recommend to cut down our divorce rate?
Well, as a great many of our clinics are including in the work that they do in birth control clinics, having marriage counseling. So when the woman or the man come and complain of their marriage skids, we invite them to come and have special talks with some of our psychiatrists or others who are making a study of that all over the country, where we have about 500 clinics. They almost all include marriage counseling and marriage erection.
May I ask you this? Could it be that women in the United States become too independent, that they followed the lead of women like Margaret Sanger by neglecting family life for a career? Let me quote from your biography describing your second marriage to Noah Slee. Quote, in New York, Mrs. Sanger maintained every clause of their compact of independence. They had separate apartments. They telephoned each other for dinner or theater engagements or passed notes back and forth. Would you call this a sound formula for marriage, Mrs. Sanger?
Different people, yes. It certainly was for me and for my husband. We had a very happy marriage. We consulted with the different friends that I had. And I don't believe in forcing, we were two adults. And forcing your friends on another person who may have an entirely different outlook. It worked out very well. That's what it was.
How many children? 6 in this family?
5 boys and a girl in that family.
And in the other family?
2 girls.
2 girls. Miss Sanger, I thank you so much for taking time out and coming and talking to us here this evening.
And Mr. Wells, I've never smoked. But I'm going to begin to take up smoking and use Philip Morris as my cigarette for me to take.
Well, I thank you very much, Mr. Sanger.
Indeed.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force. The purpose of this interview has been not, of course, to try to resolve this issue, but to open it to a little sensible discussion. This was done with the feeling that all of us, regardless of our beliefs, can do nothing but profit from a free exchange of ideas.
Okay, y'all. They didn't tell you one of the things. I got to get another quote on here. Hold on. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not doing it. Okay. I'm going to put the lights back on in 1 second. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. And I'm going to grab another book because y'all don't realize y'all got played. Y'all got played. And y'all got lied to. Margaret Sanger was lying. And I'm going to get the quote for y'all. And then we're going to get into our stuff. 1 second. I'm going to bring the lights and I'm going to bring the book back. Okay, y'all. Thanks for watching. Margaret Sanger. I want to lead with Margaret Sanger because folks will tell you Margaret Sanger is a hero. And those folks, Mike Wallace, the late Mike Wallace, I met him once, 30 years ago, almost 30, no, 39 years ago. God, once at work. One thing that Mike Wallace never did and Margaret Sanger didn't do was tell you who Havelock Ellis was. Havelock Ellis, this is the father, one of the modern fathers of the LGBTQ movement. I'm gonna put his name up there so you'll know who it is and you'll understand. I'm putting this up here. Havoc Ellis. Something that Margaret Sanger would have never told Mike Wallace that she knew about Havoc Ellis. Havoc Ellis had a woman who was friends to Margaret Sanger who loved Havoc Ellis and wanted to marry Havoc Ellis. And Havoc Ellis was psychologically and emotionally abusive to this woman. In Margaret Sanger's papers in the Library of Congress, this woman complains about how cruel and how much Havoc Ellis did not like women. Did not like women. Did not like women. Did not like women. In fact, this woman writes Margaret Sanger a series of messages thinking that Havoc Ellis has had a change of heart and he is going to like her. And then Havoc Ellis, the father of gay studies, Havoc Ellis, tells the woman, I want to marry you. And we're going to celebrate on our honeymoon by having a murder-suicide pact. I'll kill you and I'll kill myself. The father of gay studies, rationalizing that people were born gay and it's natural and it's perfect and all of this, right? And what I want you to get out of what I'm saying to you is that Margaret Sanger, in her own papers, mentioned that her movement for population control had 4 goals. 1, to start a movement around birth control. 2, to get it legalized and available for women and to normalize birth control. Legalize abortion. And then legalize and help the spread of homosexuality. She has it scratched out because she didn't want. The woman's a pathological racist liar. Havoc Ellis is the only man you heard her say she admired, a gay man who would kill one of her friends. I want y'all to respond to that. A hero to her is a man who would murder a woman who wanted to form a marriage with him. The other question I would ask you, sisters in particular, what kind of woman doesn't want to be in the same house or apartment as the man she's married to? And that he could telephone her, or write her letters. Sound like a marriage? Sound like they're straight? You'd think Margaret Sanger is interested in something. Talk to me. She wasn't in love with Havoc Ellis. Please listen to what I'm saying. It's a friend of hers that was in love with Havoc Ellis. I don't think Margaret Sanger could care a damn about men. She told you, she said to the man, and I've got to find the other piece. I'm going to pull it up and I'll see where Margaret Sanger said the greatest thing that a mother could do is kill her children. Y'all agree with that? You agree with that? Who agrees with that? That a mother loving her child is killing that child. Who says that? Who thinks that? Who thinks that's love? Who doesn't see that as demonic? Yes, I went there. Somebody talk to me. Talk to me. Should have, I'm going to pull up this quote. I'm looking for this. I need y'all to see this yourselves because a lot of people are not. A lot of people don't believe what we tell them when we bring it, so we show you. And that was airbrushed.
There we go. 1, 2, 3, go. If I can't talk verbally to you, my music can. Let's go. It's all about your energy, what you.
I'm still here. Come on, y'all. What do y'all think about that? Margaret Sanger. Come on, somebody talk to me because we're going to go into another segment. You say it's demonic? Who thinks it's demonic? Because I'm trying to go somewhere with this here. And I want to pull up another one of these videos here.
Everybody, well, you can have the up-to-date information. Everybody from Alaska to Timbuktu knows that Adolf Hitler, countless atrocities.
Okay. I'm ready to move on. But I want to get that piece. I want to get an article, and I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to prove what I'm saying to you. I need to do this. She's able to do this. Look, I want to get this quote, and I'm going to read it to you, and then we're going to move on. Wiki quote. I'm going to read some of Margaret Sanger's quotes to you. This is Margaret Sanger that you just saw. A third group of society are those irresponsible and reckless ones having little regard for the consequences of their acts, or whose religious scruples prevent their exercising control over their numbers. Many of these groups are diseased, feeble-minded, and are of the pauper element dependent upon the normal and fit members of society for their support. There's no doubt in the minds of all thinking people that procreation of this group should be stopped. The language is loaded. Let's do this again. Many members of this group are diseased, feeble-minded. My god sister, Lane Riddick, was designated as feeble-minded and sterilized at 14. Black people are seen as intellectually inferior to white people. It means that they're feeble-minded. Margaret Sanger felt all Black people shouldn't be allowed to procreate. Within the last 4 or 5 months, Planned Parenthood of America has acknowledged that Margaret Sanger was a racist, a monster that hated Black people. I'm talking about Sanger here because I'm going somewhere. There is no doubt in the minds of all thinking people, hint, hint, thinking white people, that the procreation of this group, Blacks, should be stopped. Birth control is not conception indiscriminately and thoughtlessly practiced. It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society. It's not you and me. The better racial elements in our society. And listen to this: the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation. Another word for extermination. Extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. What she said to a father: you caused his mother to die from having too many children. That's what she said to a man whose wife is dead. Mothers, can you afford to have a large family? Do you want any more children? If not, why do you have them? Do not kill. Do not take life, but prevent. Safe, harmless information can be obtained of trained nurses. They were saying that because they couldn't openly advocate for abortion, but that's what she wanted. The most interesting incident of my life was some years ago when I was sitting beside a dying child's bed, watching the pulse and waiting for the crisis. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I started to take the pulse of the child, and I did so and saw 2 bodies of the child, one slightly above the other, exactly in the same position at the exact replica, except it was not flesh, but a substance more like, listen to this, cobwebs, the color of smoke. I stood back and beheld an extraordinary phenomenon as the upper body moved majestically away in a horizontal position across the room as through a steel door. The physical body remained and was still breathing. Consciousness was never regained, and an hour after, the little girl ceased to breathe. I care nothing for free speech in and of itself. All of us place too much value on the printed word and the power of the spoken word. We read too much. We listen too much. We live too little. We act too little. I speak to you my actions past and present. I have been gagged. I have been suppressed. I have been hauled off to jail. Yet every time more people have listened to me, more have protested, more have lifted their voices, more have responded with courage and bravery. As a propagandist, I see immense advantage in being gagged. It silences me, but it makes millions of others talk about me and the cause in which I live. Here's another one. I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance to be a human being, practically delinquents, prisoners, and all sorts of things just marked when they were born. That to me is the greatest sin that people can commit. It seems to me, from all my experiences where I have been, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, and Texas, that while the colored Negroes have great respect for white doctors, they can get close to their own members and more or less lay their cards on the table, which means their ignorance, superstitions, and doubts. They do not do this with white people, and if we can train the Negro doctors at the clinic, he can go among them with enthusiasm and knowledge, which I believe will have far-reaching results among the colored people. His work, in my opinion, should be entirely with the Negro profession and as well as the country's white doctors. His success will depend upon his personality and his training by us. The minister's work is also important, and he should be trained, perhaps by the Federation, that's the Federation of the Birth Control League, as to our ideas and the goal that we hope to reach. We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to their more rebellious members. They don't want the word to get out. It's Margaret Sanger. Now, questions. And if you don't, let me keep moving. I set all this up so we can start moving. Tuskegee 2.0 is upon us. They plan to destroy as many Black people as possible. I'm going to bring out some other books, other material. I'm going to go through them very quickly. I want to establish something that many of you don't know. If you've heard it before, hear it again. One of the greatest students, does anybody know the greatest student of Margaret Sanger? Any suggestions, any ideas? Come on, y'all. Y'all awake. If I'm awake, all the turkey I ate, I should be falling asleep. Who is the greatest student of Margaret Sanger? Guesses. You got Rodham. That's a nice one. She's working on it. She's not there yet. Any more answers? Bill Gates, he's working on it. Okay, and Bill Gates' daddy. Come on, y'all can help me. It ain't that hard. Bill Gates' dad. That's good. You got Pelosi. Okay, y'all making me work hard today. All right, I'm gonna help y'all. I brought it up before, but I'll do it again. The former head, no, the greatest student. The greatest student of Margaret Sanger, Adolf Hitler. Everybody can agree that Hitler's an evil, monstrous person. We can agree that Bill Gates is as a wicked person. All of these people. But Adolf Hitler's the greatest practitioner. The greatest practitioner of Margaret Sanger's craft. Thank you. You're putting up Hitler after I said it. Come on, y'all. Sanger deeply influenced Nazi Germany and the Third Reich. The people that were under Hitler came to America to study at the feet of Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger, Hitler did read her books. Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control Review was translated, or the Germans could read English and published. Hitler's person that was in charge of sterilizing black children published in the Birth Control Review of Margaret Sanger. Du Bois is probably one of her greatest black students, but it's Hitler. Hitler, Hitler, Hitler. So Havelock Ellis. I wonder what he's. I'm gonna just look to see what Havelock Ellis said. I know there's nothing here. I'm pretty certain. I want you to hear. I'm reading the back of the biography of Havelock Ellis, the big friend of Margaret Sanger. Havelock Ellis, a biography by Phyllis Grosskurt. This is the first full-scale biography of a complex figure whose pioneering studies of sexuality, heralded our modern attitudes towards sex. Havelock Ellis was an explorer of the psychological frontiers, an obsessed collector and classifier of data who believed sex should be examined scientifically. He was one of the first to comment sympathetically on homosexuality because he was one. About a woman's right to have a fulfilled sex life, about matters still controversial today. Divorce, masturbation, abortion, birth control, and sex education. Yet his personal life revealed an astounding innocence. His own passion obscured problems so deep-rooted he could not discuss normal sexual reactions. Making use of archives previously unopened to researchers, they hide these people's lives from people, so you don't get to know. They build up people like Kamala Harris and Stacey Abrams and Reverend Raphael Warnock. You don't get to know who these people are. They tell you that they're great, and they hide who they really are. It's a tactic to take advantage of the masses. Making use of archives previously unopened to researchers. Phyllis Grosskurt writes an engaging, lively story of Ellis's life, his many intense and ambivalent relationships with women. Ambivalent. He didn't love them. This is the person that's going to tell us about sex. They're going to tell you what a woman should have, and you don't like women. Okay. Among them, Olive Schreiner. I think this is a woman, Olive Schreiner. She's the woman that he says, I'll marry you if you'll commit suicide with me. Sound like love? No roses and chocolates there, broads. Olive Schreiner and Margaret Sanger. His obsessive, undying love for his mother, his connections with the intellectual luminaries of his day, including Sigmund Freud, a drug addict, confused person whose studies on sexuality eclipsed Ellis's own. That's who Margaret Sanger looked up to, a man that hated women. Haven't we been talking about pork chop feminism and the women picking men that hate women? And then when they get abused, talk about all men. I mean, a good man couldn't even get any draws, but a hateful man gets to live there. Pour butane fluid on her and she loves him. It's incredible. I agree. There's something deviant about these people. Now, I'm talking about Tuskegee 2.0, and I mentioned Hitler, and I want to bring out a couple of books just so you can see them. And I want to see, I try to do this, and I'm learning to use this thing. Let me try something. Does it do that? No. It doesn't work. So let me stop doing that. I won't do that again. I want to, I have so much stuff piled up in here. Let me put this there. I want to show y'all some stuff. We're going to take a couple of minutes. And I just want to connect this because we don't get this having all these books stacked up, and then we're going to go back to eugenics. But I just want to bring this to your attention so you can understand where I'm coming from. All right. And let me see, take this off here. I'm going to run through a couple of books with y'all. Y'all don't mind, do you? And I want to do some things real fast. Because it's going on right now. Margaret Sanger paved the way to show how to hate and use Black people. She's the godmother of it. And she understood that you could use Black churches. And I told you that Hitler was one of the people, and I'm looking at that book, and I want to see if I can find some quotes for you. See if it's in here. See if I run across her name, because people normally separate her name from Mr. Hitler. In fact, if you read Margaret Sanger's papers, she has a letter from about 1942 where she was rooting for the Nazis, and she thought that Hitler would win, and she put her money on it. And then that's a letter deep that they don't bring up because they don't want to make this woman out to be a monster, but she's really, really bad. She's bad. She's bad. She's bad. And I'm going to dig for it. See if I can find it in here. Work with me. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it out. I just want to see if I can get this name. Work with me. I have my other topic on this Nazi thing. I just want to get Margaret in here. Okay, they don't give it to me.